Now, Effective Communication with Phil Zeller, CEO, Dale Carnegie, Southwest Michigan.
Have you ever asked the question, why would somebody want to talk with you? Have you ever asked that question, let alone answered it? No, it's perplexing sometimes. Phil Zeller here, Effective Communication, and we ask ourselves the question, why would somebody want to talk with us? Why would they want to talk with you? And you think about it, and you think about every individual, and life is like a box of chocolates. You learned that on Forrest Gump, the movie, right? With Tom Hanks. What a great movie that was. You learn that everybody is different and unique. And when you really think about it, that's why people want to talk with you. They want to talk with you because there's something about you that's really something. And it makes you different from everybody else. And that's why you're that little special nugget. And some of you are saying, well, Phil, I don't know if I'm that special nugget, but and I'm going to share with you, there is something about you. When you look deep in yourself, you'll find it. There is something special about you. And it comes from the craziest places, too. For me in life, I know as a small child growing up, I was always curious about things. Curious. I wanted to understand how everything worked, how it all made sense. And I'll tell you what, that will get you in trouble. Just like Curious George with the man in the hat, the big yellow hat. I found myself in some precarious situations as a child because I was so curious and wanting to understand how things work. I'll never forget one time I was on a family vacation, the extended family, you're all on this big trip and everybody's there. All your cousins are there. And it was when I was a young boy, and I was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and we were all camping in northern Michigan, and we'd gone to a place called Fort Michilimackinac, which is an old fort on the northern part of the lower peninsula of Michigan. And I'm there, and they are doing archaeological digs at this fort to see how did the people live back then. And I'm fascinated by it. I'm in there, and I'm just reading everything, trying to comprehend it. And I'm really more so looking at the pictures based upon my age, but I'm trying to make sense of it all, what was going on here. And I'm so into what I'm looking at that I lost track of time. I don't know if you've ever done that before, just lost track of time because you're so into what you're doing. And I'm there and I lost track. And then all of a sudden I look around and I just take a moment to pause and look around me, and there are no people. There's nobody left there. And I remember I ran out of the building I was in thinking, okay, well, everybody's just moving on and look at other exhibits. And what I realized is that there was nobody there. Absolutely nobody there. It was just me. So then I started running from building to building and realizing, again, nobody there. So as you can imagine, 3 or 4 years old, I was a little panicked. I'll admit, I was a kid, and I was there all alone. And I'm thinking, this is weird. It's like one of those episodes of The Twilight Zone where you're the last person on Earth. And I'm running around, and all of a sudden I hear somebody yell at me, and I turn and look, and it is a Department of Natural Resources officer. And the officer says, young man, what are you doing here? The park is closed. And I said, well, I'm here. My family's all gone. I don't know where they're at. So he took me to the front of the park, and we went out there, and my family, they were gone. They were gone. So my curiosity got me into trouble, and it left me there with the park ranger. And we spent the next 6 hours together hanging out. Poor guy had to deal with this little kid for 6 hours. But my curiosity got me in trouble. And it tells a great story. My parents got there 6 hours later, realized they forgot one of their kids. Well, that's what you get when you're in a big family. They got an earful from the DNR officer who was pretty upset. They would leave their kid behind, and this guy had to stay after work for 6 hours babysitting the kid. But it all worked out. And I learned something that day is that uniqueness of being curious has really paid off in life. And because I've extended it to people, it's not just things to be curious about, it's about people. And what makes you special and unique is there's certain things like this about you and stories you have from your childhood that you could tell me that really set you apart and make you different. And every person has them. Every person has them. And what they do is they bring that flair of uniqueness to who you are by the way that you see the world in which you live. And so as you work with people, I want you to think about that for a moment and realize that these stories are in every single person. And if you look for them and you really dig deep, you're going to find something interesting about each person you meet. And so as Dale Carnegie would say, become genuinely interested in other people. And make it a way of life. Make it a habit. Just as curious as you would be to understand anything that you're into, What if you did that with all the people in your life? And then you realize they're just as curious about things that they're engaged with as you are. Oh my gosh. And then your world just expands exponentially because you realize that all these other people are unique. They are special. They're not cookie cutter, not a single one of them. So be curious, my friends. Get out there, become genuinely interested in other people, and find what it is that makes you the interesting person that people really want to talk to. Because by golly, you make the world a better place. Now go make it happen.